It's me. What a 24 hours it's been in the land of Celtic. What a 12 hours it's been for me. Excuse, I've got a hangover this morning, so be gentle. I'm running away late. That's my first coffee of the morning. Anyway, the Celtic news that's coming out this morning is Kidsford Garden is on his way to Celtic in a £10 million plus deal, which is Brendan Rodgers is finally getting his man. Yes, Brendan Rodgers finally getting Kidsford Garden, and it's been part of the deal. Also, the KYOGO deal will not be confirmed until Jota, his man. The KYOGO deal will not be confirmed until Jota lands in Glasgow and signs for Celtic. With the storm that you have in Scotland today, and planes been cancelled last night already, it's going to be interesting to see when the deals are announced, and will it be a double deal? You know the way that Celtic do things. They tend to they like their double announcements, and I think that this will be one of those days that it will be a massive double announcement. It won't be today. It will be over the weekend. I think it could be Monday, but it won't take the shine off of their Champions League run. Hail, hail the boys, says morning troops. Excuse me. Richard Smith says good morning. Have a fantastic Friday. Connor says good morning. Stephen Johnson's in the house. KYOGO out and Jota back and coming back is the only good thing. I hope we get a striker. Well, Kidsford Garden is the man that is coming in. Kidsford Garden is the man that Brendan Rodgers has been after for a while. Hail, hail the boys. Richard, Stephen Johnson, Gezabel. Chilpel, still greeting. I hate the thought that we don't even have a chance to say goodbye to KYOGO. Yeah, and I think KYOGO must have known when he got hooked off the pitch. He must have known when he got hooked off the pitch. But that's the way it is. That's the way it is. Hi everyone, Baz, late getting out of bed this morning. Yes, I was. I was that. Really late. I got out like 10 minutes before. I had a quick shower and Jesus. It was a late night last night. And it's worse when the bar gives you free shots. And it was free shot central last night. It was unbelievable. Coming around with a tray of shots, just giving you free shots. What's that all about? It's craziness, man. Scottish bar as well. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Anyway, Chilpel says, I wonder if KYOGO left because he doesn't like Brendan Lyle's style to play. Nope, it's all for money. He was definitely not as prolific as under Ange. Chilpel, if you look at the stats on how many goals he missed and the opportunities that he missed, I think it was an easy decision for Brendan. And Celtic and Brendan have been after Kidsford Garden since Brendan came back. So he's a younger striker. He's a younger striker, and it's what it is. Do you know, we've got 10 million in for him. We get Jota back to go in the wing, which sets alarm bells ringing for me. It does set alarm bells ringing for me, thinking that Celtic are either thinking ahead because there may be movement with Kuhn in the summer. Are Celtic just making sure that they have a replacement in that's good enough to replace Kuhn in the summer? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say this, but you know the way that Celtic do it. Going into the Champions League qualifiers next season, not automatically qualifying, Celtic will want to make sure that they've got the player in beforehand, so that it does not, if the worst happens and Kuhn was to get sold in the summer, it makes sure that we've got a player in that is just as good as Kuhn, that can replace him on the wing. And Brendan Rodgers, I think that Brendan Rodgers should be we'll wait till the end of the window, and once the deals are done, once everything's signed, sealed and delivered, I think he should be applauded by the fact that he's getting the board to move their arse rather than delay things. Because if we had waited to the summer window and then Brendan Rodgers gets all frustrated with the board because he doesn't get players in for time for the qualifiers for the Champions League, I think that would be a massive, massive thing. And I think that Brendan Rodgers has stamped his feet and he's got deals done, which can only be a good thing. Celtic Mads in the house, Mr. Quinn's in the house, Mr. Big Rab C's in the house. It was great last night at work. We got bored trolling the hell out of the zombies. I didn't even know the zombies scored until it was late. because I was out. Butland's a donkey. Oh, morning. Good morning. You go and get your mum up to get your food and stuff. Go and beat it. I'm not doing that. Kieran Douglas says, nothing better than the boss phoning you before work and say, don't bother coming in. I'll probably be shut for a couple of hours. Even better. Richard Smith says, the way to look at it, he hasn't scored enough goals in 2 seasons, so something's not right. As you said, it's maybe the tactics don't suit him. I don't think it's the tactics. He was playing off the back, and he was okay. He was having to come in a bit deeper lying, but Celtic you have to change your tactics where teams are sitting back more. So teams weren't sitting as deep under Ange Postecoglou. There wasn't this low lying block as much. Teams weren't setting up as a back five as often as they do against Celtic now. Ange's team had power to run past defenders, where you've got teams now that are setting up on the 18-yard box. Your striker can't sit around the 18-yard box when you play one striker up front and try and get him to make space for himself when there's 5 defenders round about him. So the tactics had to change, and this will go on and it'll change again. It'll change again with Kidsford coming in. And I think that when people say that when Brendan first, you have to think back to everything that's been said, right? Think back to what Joe Hart said when he left Celtic, right? That Brendan Rodgers did not change the tactics of Ange Postecoglou's style until the January. So thinking that it was Brendan Rodgers' style that had changed everything that season for Celtic, the last season for Celtic, it wasn't. It was the other teams that decided to have a low-lying block. So Celtic weren't as effective. Ange Postecoglou wouldn't have been as effective last season. People were getting into the way that Celtic were playing. The other managers are going more defensive. Rather than getting beat 4 or 5-0, they're saying, fuck that, a 1-1 draw's good. A 1-1 draw's a brilliant result against Celtic. Don't let them score 5. How do you not let them score 5? You sit right back. And you don't let them get past you. You don't get with that pace that they've got in the wings and that pace that they've got with KYOGO. You don't let them get in behind you to do that. So you sit right back. Brendan Rodgers comes in and they go, you do the same, because fucking Brendan Rodgers' teams were just as, they were just as good. And then you've then got people saying, it's the side-to-side passing stuff. And then Brendan comes out and says, my teams don't play side-to-side passing football. Well, Brendan, yes, they do. But then, and he goes, I want my teams to be fast attacking paced football. But it's hard when teams are sitting back. It's definitely hard when teams are sitting back. Frustrated at the lack of service from his teammates. How can you say that when he misses sitter after sitter after sitter? I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I'm not having a go at him. I'm just saying, you can't say that the lack of service for teammates with the amount of chances, clear-cut chances, sitters that KYOGO misses over the last 6 months. 6 months anyway. So you can't say it's lack of service from his teammates. Definitely not that. But I'm just saying, it is what it is. Big Raspberry says, KYOGO wanted to move, for God's sake. Just say thank you for your service. Exactly, thank you for his service. Once the storm has passed and he comes in, I watched the Villa Monaco match and got into Villa physically. I was a shout at the back and midfield firing, keep possession well, and Adam Ida up front. Brendan Rodgers must have a little trick up his sleeve. He must have a little trick up his sleeve for the Aston Villa game, because you wouldn't. But then again, I think that the way that this has happened, and the reason that it happened yesterday is obviously the deal fell through for Jota to go to Turkey. The deal fell through for Jota to go to Turkey. When that happened, and Ren said, look, we're still after KYOGO, Celtic have went, right, okay, we'll give you KYOGO if you give us Jota. And they went, right, fair enough, send them over. We'll send a private jet over for KYOGO. And Celtic went, whoa, wait a minute, we've got a Champions League game next week. And they've then turned around and said, right, well, the Jota deal happens ASAP. Jota's on his way back here after the deal falling through from Turkey. You send Jota over, you send KYOGO over, we'll send Jota over, and then we'll get the deal done this week. It has to be done this week, or we sell Jota to someone else. And I think that's what's probably played Celtic's card. And then that's the domino that's been waiting for Celtic to turn around and go, right, Brøndby, what are you wanting for Kids for Garden? Now, we could have got him two seasons ago for around about £4.5 million, but now we're going to have to pay £10 million for the player, 10 million plus add-ons. But anyway, it is what it is, and I think that the Kids for Garden silence. Fucking who cares? Vid's Garden. Are you Dutch all of a sudden? Oh, Jesus. Anyway, I love Jota so much. Happy to come back. And are we though? Will Jota be welcomed with open arms? I think it's fine when you've got Kieran Tierney coming back after being away for 4 years. But Jota's still got on his Instagram, the class of 2020, whatever it was, has, It's not confirmed yet, Gordon. It's not confirmed yet. Celtic will not confirm it. And now the problem being that Celtic have is that there's been a lot of flights cancelled coming into the UK today, and obviously leaving Scotland because of the storm. Now, the ideal thing would have been get Jota on the plane but then get Jota on the private plane that dropped off KYOGO. That'd have been the sensible thing to do, but that couldn't happen. So I don't know if Jota's looking for some kind of payoff, or I don't know. I think that, yeah, Jota's fit. Of course he is. He's 100% fit. Give me 2 seconds. Could you feed the dog? Hand of God. Could you feed the dog? Woman, Could you feed the dog and get her thanks? God, never speak to women in the morning. Jota's 25. He was happiest when he played with us. Yes, he was. The big question mark is how good is Jota still? Could he get into the Saudi team and the Rennes team? Kieran Douglas, it's Scottish football. French football is a little bit of a higher standard. And Rennes are woeful. They maybe went for a more defensive team. But French football is a little bit better. I mean, Rennes were always up there for European competitions and in and around the top of the table. Now they're 14th or something at the table, nowhere near European contention. Hence the reason they won KYOGO. John, how are you this morning? Doovie Day. Lads cuddling. Doovie Day? Is the site being closed down today? Is my brother sitting at home? I need to get my phone. I've never spoken to him for a couple of weeks. KYOGO is a good striker. He'll be missed, but he's been off his game for a year. We had to replace good strikers in the past. Yes, we did. And I think, James, what got to everyone, is the fact that it happened right after such a bloody good win. Well, one of the best 1-0 wins you've ever seen at Celtic Park. The atmosphere was electric. You know, everything was just brilliant after the Champions League and getting through to qualifying to the playoff position for the knockout phase. Everyone was on a high. We did not expect Celtic. Now, there was noises coming out before the game. We did talk about it on the live before the game the other night. And I'm just surprised it happened so quick. So there must have been things coming for Rennes that said, no, we want the deal to happen now. Because I'm sure that Brendan Rodgers would have wanted his team to stay impact for the final Champions League game. Because the game against Villa's massive. It's completely massive. I mean, we're sitting pretty in the Champions League. We're into the knockout phase. But there's an opportunity that if results were to have gone our way and we got the right score line. Now remember, we had 3 goals chopped off at Celtic Park. If we had went to Villa and we got the right score line, there's every chance, there's a tiny chance that we could end up in the top 8, which would be automatic qualification for the knockout phase. not having to play another 2 games, automatic qualification, and a pot of gold worth 9.2 million. 9.2 million automatically without. And Brendan Rodgers is bound to be pulling his hair out and going, but he knows the game. He knows the game. Rennes won't improve his chances in the World Cup inclusion, playing at a higher level. KYOGO, it has been said that KYOGO and Rio Hatate have both said publicly that they need to be playing at a higher domestic level. They will see France as one of the better leagues in Europe. It's one of the top 5 leagues. And it's one of the leagues that you have more chance of getting picked up by your international manager. Playing in the backwaters of Scottish football, unfortunately, does not get you picked. There's been many players over the year. There's been many Celtic striker over the year who's been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal at Celtic and scored for fun, but then left to seek pastures new, to gain the attention of the international manager, and they have failed. It's as simple as that. They went to English leagues, went to the English Premiership to try and become an England player, but they failed. And there's been other players that have done it. So, I mean, the grass isn't always greener, but you can understand KYOGO's stance as well. He signed that new contract with Celtic when Brendan Rodgers first came in, and I think all that was, there must have been a sell-on clause of 10 million. As soon as a bid comes in for, say, 10 million, we'll let you go. Something as simple as that. It would have been that easy. But we've made a profit on a player that's 30-year-old. Let's put it that way. So anyway, sitting here, my heart pounding, my daughter driving to England, her job. She just made it to Gretna Green. Let's hope she doesn't stop there, the Gus. The badge will always be bigger than the name of the back. Yes, it will. It will. It will. Chilpil, it will. Lanky, sorry. Just reading Chilpil's message there. Most players miss Celtic when they leave. Exactly. You think of Scott Brown. I always think of Scott Brown because yesterday, Callum McGregor would have had to went, KYOGO, it's been good, mate, but I have to delete you from the chat. You have been eliminated. Is anybody else watching Traitors? You've been eliminated, and he's deleted the Celtic players, first team players group chat. And then Scott Brown would always say, he said, there's been many times that players have WhatsApp sent him a WhatsApp 6 months later and said, Bruni, you were right. You know, Bruni says to players, look, once you leave Celtic, you'll never ever get anything like this again. You can go and chasing the money, you can go and chasing an extra 10, 15 grand a week, but you'll never feel anything like what you do here. And Bruni said that to many, many players, and he's on record saying that many players text him and said, you were right, you were right, mate. Do you know, Captain, you were right. I love the Traitors. It's a fantastic programme, eh? We've missed it this week. Morning, Baz. I'm absolutely gutted, bro. Onwards and upwards. Yes, John, it is. It's onwards and upwards. Delighted with the KYOGO business. Looking forward to buying players for the Champions League knockout tie. Well, Kidsford Garden is the deal that's going to be done next after the Jota deal. The Kieran Tierney one will take care of itself. My hope is Johnny Kenny. Let's see what Johnny Kenny can do. Baz, get them tarot cards. They don't work. Baz, them tarot cards don't work. I don't do tarot cards. I wouldn't last 2 minutes in Traitors. I'd get voted out as well, mate. My missus is like, you're too globby. You'd be like, you're a prick. You're a prick, you're a prick, and you're a prick. You're getting voted out, you're getting voted out, you're getting voted out. That's what happened with me. But no, it is a fantastic programme. Jota on the wing. I'll tell you one thing though. There's a lot of people, there's a few people that I know that are digging out there. They got t-shirts made the summer that Jota left. They got t-shirts made before Jota left. And if you're watching this morning, you get the old t-shirt dug out. Unbelievable. It's weird that he's coming back. Peter Rennie says, morning Baz, onwards and upwards. Tim says, we survived better players than KYOGO leaving. There will be new stars in the future. Yes, you're right, mate. You are right. I think that I know French Ready is on a free this summer. This is redemption. Oh, Jesus. Kaiser, come on, there's... Nah, that's a step too far. That's a step too... Nah, it's not going to happen when you're paying 10 million for Kids for Garden who's younger. So think about the changes. Kaiser, you need to think about the changes that's happening at Celtic just now. We're spending more money on a younger player. We're up in the levels. If we're playing a game of poker, Celtic are now going all in. They're getting their chips and they're going, right, we've got a big chunk of 77 million sitting. And Celtic are going, right, Brendan, boom, there you go. I mean, if we're buying Jota for the best part of 8 million, right, we're buying Kids for Garden for 10 million plus. We're getting Kieran Tierney on a free. I said at the beginning of this window that I thought Celtic would spend 20 million. And we have. But the dynamics of the type of player that we want, the age and the profile of the player is still the same, but the level and the quality is a way up. Rather than being down here and buying £1 million players, we're spending 10 million on a player. And okay, people will say, do you know what, is Jota worth it for 10 million? We sold him for 25. But we know, and Brendan Rodgers would have been on the phone to him. Brendan Rodgers would be like, right, Jota, all right, mate, what's happening? Right, I'm gutted that you left, okay? I can't do a Brendan accent. We're gutted that you left. I want you to come back. And Jota's like, yeah. And then Brendan's like, but wait a minute here. I'm not wanting you to come back just to try and get a big move again. Because that really pissed me off, to be honest. That really pissed me off. Big style. And he just came in the door and you fuck off for 25 million and 10 million in wages. And then he goes, oh, look, mate, I made the 10 million, I banked it. Can I come back now? Right, no bother. Speak to the guy, speak to the men upstairs. And it's as simple as that. As simple as that. Welcome back, Yoto. We sign Lennon Miller. No, we don't. We're not going to sign Lennon Miller this window. He's injured, and nothing's going to happen with him till the summer. I think that we could sign him and loan him back, but I don't think that Celtic are going down that road. There's too many. I just don't see it. I think that the Lennon Miller one will be passed on to this summer window. Edward gave up trying for us. Look at Kyogo's last game. The wee man hit 3 times, and he was trying like fuck. He was. And do you think that Kyogo knew that was going to be his last game? There was a potential. I mean, his agent's on the phone. That didn't just happen right after the game last night, the other night. That happened before the game. So his agent's on the phone saying, wee man, there's every chance that you might be leaving tomorrow. And so he's like, fuck this, I'm going out in style. I want to score a barrel of the goals tonight for the team and for these fans. They've gave me so much. They've gave me this opportunity to get into European football. Kyogo was nobody had heard of Kyogo before he came to Celtic. Now he's getting a chance to go and play in France, to go and play some of the biggest teams in Europe and PSG. Do you know what I mean? Although they're not that great just now, but it's a different league altogether. It's a new lifestyle. It's a new experience. Now the French, they don't get on with anybody. French are rude and they don't really like people. Trust me, we had French staying across from us 4 years ago in the place that we stayed here, and all they did was sit in the pool all day and fucking barbecue. Anyway, deals take weeks to get done, not overnight. Exactly, Tim. Although the player doesn't necessarily talk about it. That's Mancini. He gave up. Gutted about the boy Kyoto. You've painted a life-size picture of Kyogo. Is it this size? Oh man, come on, get over it. We need to get over it. Celtic might have told him not to say anything, Kaiser. Of course, I missed a message for Kaiser. Let me just try and jump up. You never even said goodbye. Well, he can't, can he? Until it's done and dusted. You don't know. You can't go around the pitch going, "See you later, bye," and then the deal falls through. It's not the way that things happen, is it? I mean, if he was to walk about the pitch going, "See you later, bye, I'm going to miss you. Here's the mic. Adios." You can't do that because say the deal fell through the next day. Will Jota get the number 8? I don't know who's got the number 8 just now. Good to get a breakaway. Glad you enjoy yourself. Lorna says, Gemma Womenbeat says, I think he will struggle to get regular game for Rennes. I wouldn't think so. If you're spending that kind of money on him, French Eddie will as well buy sell by date. Lanky says, look back a few months when Brendan said players don't want to be here, I'm not going to stand in their way. Was he talking about KYOGO? Considering that Brendan was after 2 strikers in the last window, we all know that he said, Brendan Rodgers is on record saying that he wanted 2 strikers in the transfer window, and that didn't happen. And then when it gets to the end of the summer window, he turns around and says, doesn't look like we're going to get the third striker in, and that was going to be Kidsford. But now he's getting his man, and you've got to admire Brendan Rodgers for this point, because he's stuck to his gun with the Kidsford one. You know, sometimes a manager can be linked with a player, and Brendan Rodgers will come out and say all the right things. He say, look, it's a player that we've been monitoring for a while. When Palmer goes, Jota will be our number 7. Well, let's hope so, because Palmer is a ridiculous number 7. I think KYOGO wanted away. If not, we would have kept him, said Jamesy Boy. As soon as a 10 million bid comes in, it was always the Man City talk for Jota. For KYOGO. I can see Jota wearing the number 11. Good luck to the wee man. I'm buzzing about Jota coming back though, says Lorna. Yes, so is my missus, and so is a few other females that I know. They're like, oh, Jota's coming back. Oh, God. Kaiser says, told you, Baz, all 3 Japanese players have requested to move to a top 5 league for the national boss. Will pay off by the summer. Yep, and if it does go the way, I think that we can all agree, as good as Rio Hitati is, I think that his time also is coming to an end. I don't really want to see that. I don't see how Dyson Maeda has to move, because he's playing fantastic in this league and he's playing fantastic in the Champions League. But we'll wait and see come the summer. There's an issue with tax on Jota deal. Nope, there is no issue. People need to stop this. He's not a UK citizen. He's not a UK citizen, so he doesn't come under the same tax rules as you lot that are born and bred in the UK. I don't know where this tax stuff came from. He's not a UK citizen. He doesn't have he would have some kind of national insurance number, but he's not a UK citizen, so he doesn't come under the same laws as what you do. You're born and bred there, but no. Just waiting for Monday and Tuesday. That's when I announced Jota and Kidsford. I think that the fact that there's a massive storm and flights have been delayed, I think that's what's holding the deal up. Now, the Jota deal, Steve McCowan said last night that the Jota deal will not be ratified by Celtic until the KYOGO deal will not be ratified by Celtic until the... Here's what it says. Celtic plan to conclude the stunning $9 million deal to re-sign Portuguese winger Jota over the weekend, and they will hold fire on the $10 million sale of KYOGO Furuhashi to the French club until agreement with Jota is reached. The Japanese striker was pictured boarding a private jet in Glasgow, and he was also pictured coming off the plane. The Rennes boss said that they've confirmed the move, saying that hopefully we'll finish the deal today. In this case, Furuhashi could play a few minutes against Monaco on Saturday. So they're hoping to conclude the deal today. Celtic are trying to hold the deal off until they get in writing that Jota is going to come back, because it's one of those ones. I mean, there was a Spanish team done that. They allowed the players to go out. I can't remember. It was not a Barcelona player. Went out to Italy or something, and then he got recalled. He got recalled because there was something happened within the deal. I all thought it was going to go through. I think it was a player coming the other way. The other player didn't want to go the other way, so they went, well, we're closing the deal down, and then they had to bring the player back. So it can happen. It's not done and dusted. Jota plans to fly to Glasgow within the next 24 hours has been delayed by the storm. The storm and Norman. Anyway, talking about Storm and Norman, did anybody see the violence? The violence in Manchester again. Kaiser said the winds of change are sweeping Glasgow. I hope no. Kaiser, because I quite like the fact that Celtic have been the dominant force in Glasgow. I don't want that to change. 25 million Matt O'Reilly, 25 million Jota, 10 million Kyogo, 5 million Bernabe, 5 million Juranovic, 10 million Abada, 10 million Guacamakas, waka 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 waka, 10 million for Ange. It was only 5 million for Ange. Guacamakas 10 million. Thanks Ange for the great players. Yeah, he did bring in the great players. How there's a caveat with that though. Jota, you could say all the Japanese guys were players that the manager put on the radar of Celtic. But how many of them were the scouting here that was already with the likes of Jota, Bernabe, etc. I mean, there's not a chance that Ange knew about Bernabe and Juranovic. But anyway, it is what it is. We thank Ange for the work that he done, and he took Celtic. I think. Here's a question for you. And we'll do a little poll. There's 500 odd people on. Let me just do this. Now, remember that Brendan Rodgers changed his style in Sefco Summit again, but I saw a few videos of the Polos back and charging them good. Chopo says, like everyone, would Ange have had the same season this year in the Champions League with his tactics? Now, I know it's a funny question, but it is what it is this morning because there's a lot of people giving out love to Ange. But would Ange have had the success that we've had in the Champions League this year, playing his style of football? There's the poll. Would Ange have had the same type of success this season as what Brendan Rodgers has had in the Champions League this season? Would he have got us? Now, the reason that I'm asking is there's who was it that posted? Jai Lin, talking about the money that we've made off of the players that Ange Postecoglou brought into Celtic. Would have Ange had the success playing his style of football, having seen the way that his career has now spanned at Spurs over the last season and a half? Would he have had the same success in Europe? I don't think so, and a lot of people are saying nope. And you've got to remember, Brendan Rodgers has to be applauded for his change in tactics in the Champions League. The going more defensive, the defensive masterclass in Atalanta. That's all down to Brendan Rodgers. That's down to Brendan Rodgers not being pig-headed and understanding that. And I think that's what made Brendan has changed as a manager. Ange has maybe had success. He's had success. He has had success. You can't deny him that. He's had success playing his style of football. But when it comes to the top leagues in the world, I don't think that he's as astute as Brendan Rodgers because of the ability. And maybe that comes down to the backroom staff. Maybe that comes down to, maybe I'm not done because it's the same backroom staff that were here under Ange Postecoglou. So you have to say, 39 arrests last night. Can they not go anywhere? I'll need to do a meltdown video on the other channel. Jesus. Jota, the spark we're lacking in the final third. Do you think so? I'm not too sure. Let's jump up. Port Roberts West says, we had some success, but maybe with the team, I'd hear improve on the previous season. Tottenham fans don't think that he's doing okay, Kaiser. They want him sacked. Yes, they do. They want him gone. Kaiser says, yep, Baz. Atalanta game is one of the exactly, Kaiser. I think if we went to Atalanta, think about it. We were under the cosh. Atalanta did to us what we do to teams in Scotland. And I don't think Ange's team could have played as solid as that. Lanka says, chill, Kidsford Garden is rapid and takes players on and he's pretty solid. Kidsford Garden's been a striker that we've been after for a while because of what he can do up front. So John the truck driving legend is in. I'm slaving the thought of Jota and Kuhn on the wings. You've got to watch that one because Jota plays on the same wing as Kuhn. So for me, the caveat of bringing and the excitement of bringing Jota back, there's a little thing up here going, Kuhn could be away in the summer, and I think Celtic know this. Kuhn could be away in the summer for 25 million. So do not be surprised. All Brendan Rodgers is doing is making sure that we have a decent enough replacement so when we go into the Champions League qualifiers, we're fine. And my coffee's cold again. I do this every time. Every time. Never mind. Anyway, both teams were shite last night. But the shite end won. There's only one Brendan Rodgers. He says Huns are tax dodgers. Yep, the Animals are an embarrassment to their club. I might have to have a look at some of this. I've never even looked at anything online last night. I said I was out last night for a dinner thing. It was good. Scotland shame banner, whatever. I need to look at this stuff. Jota played on the left. He plays on the left. He plays on the right. But anyway, Jota comes back. Take the wee guy for Villa. Will not be longer of interest. That's an interesting one. That is an interesting one. Maybe he will. Maybe the guy for Villa, maybe Lou Barry will still be of interest because, as Kaiser said, Baz, do me a favour, change the figure to make it 30 million. If we don't want Lou Barry's pish. Oh, Jesus. I don't know, just laughing at comments. You're totally... God, where was I? I have no idea. I shouldn't read the comments. Anyway, there's been 150 votes. Come on, get the votes in. There's been over 1,600 people on the live so far. It's currently 595 on. And there's only 115 votes. You can't all be sitting watching on your telly. 152 votes. 82% is pretty emphatic the way it's going. Would Ange have had the same season this year in the Champions League with his tactics and the way that he played compared to Brendan Rodgers? Right, let's jump over to the land of the people who know some stuff and see if there's any update. Nope. Not with... let me just go to... I don't see if there's anything. Update. Rennes winger Jota is due to fly into Glasgow last night as proposed move to Celtic, but has been delayed by the storm. Jota is now expected to... This is breaking news. This one for Anthony Joseph. Jota is now expected to travel to Glasgow over the weekend to finalise his own personal terms and paperwork. So that's the latest update for Anthony Joseph, Sky reporter. He says that Rennes winger Jota was due to fly into Glasgow last night ahead of his proposed move to Celtic, but has been delayed by the storm. Why couldn't they have flown him into Manchester or something just for the banter? Fly Jota into Manchester and get him to fucking go right past the Huns. He's gone. Guess who's back? Back again. Jota's back. Tell your friends, Jota's back, Jota's back, Jota's back, Jota's back, Jota's back, Jota's back, Jota's back. Da 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 da. That's what I would have done. Fly him into Manchester and get him to drive right past the Huns. Aston Villa is a dead rubber. We're in the promised land. It's not a dead rubber. We've got a chance of finishing the top eight. Top eight in automatic qualifier. Eurotunnel, that's too long a drive. Have you ever done it? It takes around about 8 hours to get down to the bottom of England. And then from Rennes, it takes you about 8 hours to get from Rennes to the Eurotunnel. Calm yourself, mate. I've done that drive. I've worn that t-shirt. That would have been 2 days. You can fly it in 2 hours to Manchester. Anyway, morning bars and trips from Sonny Girvin. Welcome home, Jota. So it's pretty much confirmed that Jota needs a couple of suitcases for all his scalps. The Villa game is huge. Yes, it is. You see how women get excited about Jota. I'm just thinking of the wind-up that would have been Lorna. That's what I would have done. I would have flown him into Manchester and drove past the Huns, leaning out the window in his blacked out motor. Fucking guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? And the Huns are going, oh shit. McGinn is injured, so won't play against us. That's even better. Go for it against Villa, nothing to lose. Exactly. Manchester Stormy too, but is it? Well, there we go. There we go. But the fact that is the breaking news from Anthony Joseph. Rennes winger Jota was due to fly into Glasgow last night ahead of his proposed move to Celtic. The pilot of the other plane must have been, the private jet must have been wanting a couple of hours in France, because you would just tell him to just turn around and fly back. Like, you've only done a 2.5 hour flight, mate. You know, you're only flying for 2.5 hours, 3 hours maximum. Get a break, and you can do the return trip now. The pilot's like, fuck off, I want to get my wine. Anyway, Jota is now expected to travel to Glasgow over the weekend to finalise his proposal, his personal terms and paperwork. I wonder how much he's on. I wonder how much Jota has on. Right, we need 8 votes for the poll, and then I'm going to close the poll. Boom, slap it shut. So that is the latest update with the Jota deal. He will be flying to Glasgow this weekend due to the storm. So that is your breaking news. Let me see if there's anything else. There's nothing about the Kids for Garden. There was. He spoke about Kids for Garden last night, didn't he? Kids for Garden deal. The latest update on the Kids for Garden deal. Kids for Garden, 22-year-old Dane, who manager Brendan Rodgers has been tracking for some time, with 38 goals in 109 games for Brøndby. Kids for Garden attracted interest from all around Europe. Celtic could face competition from Eintracht Frankfurt, but the Bundesliga side, Kids for Garden, who has 12 goals in 18 games across all competitions this season. That makes him more prolific than KYOGO. Celtic are keen to ensure, Brøndby are keen to ensure that they get top dollar for the Denmark under 21. Another Danish player, under 21. Where have we heard this before? A Danish player under 21 coming to Celtic and then getting sold for 25 million. Interesting. And especially with our Danish keeper having signed a new contract, his year extension. These things don't go unnoticed. They are sure to get 10 million plus add-ons. Brøndby could hold out for a fee of 10 million plus add-ons. Rodgers stressed earlier this month that Celtic would be ready to move quickly in the transfer market should any of their stars depart. Meanwhile, Celtic skipper Callum McGregor has challenged the team to cause an upset against Aston Villa. Come on! Yes, Calmac. We're going to have to do it without Kyogo Furuhashi, who had 3 goals ruled offside. Three goals. God, the votes are flying in for the poll now. There's a lot more people came on. The votes are completely flying. So let's see if we can get this to 300 votes. Come on. There's 618 people currently on. 625, the stats I'm seeing. 625. So make sure that you vote for this. Baz, just say Crisp Garden. Jota can play the knockout game, yes, along with Tierney and Chris Garden, Chris Packet. Oh Jesus! Ida has made us more than 6 million. Of course he has. Of course he's made us more than 6 million. He's paid back his but both Bernardo and Jota equals at the Brazen Head. Thursday's going to be fun. Thursday afternoon, it'll be your new day for heading down to the Brazen Head, just in case. There's Jota and Bernardo taking shots like that. Right, let's go. I'm joking. They're far too professional to be taking shots. They're not players from the 1980s. Jota has achieved nothing since he left. This is a misty-eyed signing. Is it a misty-eyed signing? He's achieved over 10 million in the bank. He's achieved 10 million in the bank. Christopher Garden. Oh, Jesus. I know. Jota has regressed. You could say that Kieran Tierney's regressed. Kieran Tierney's achieved nothing. What's Kieran Tierney won since he left Celtic? Nada. Oh, Jesus. I'm glad that Brendan Rodgers is the manager and none of us. Put it that way. Let me see how many. We've had 234, 236. Come on, get the votes coming in. 629 people are currently on. And there's only 236 votes. Would Ange have had the same success this year with this year in the Champions League with his tactics? I should have put compared to Brendan Rodgers. Jota and KT. Jota and KT giving out more Huntiers. Yep, Jota will be a massive player for us again. Yeah, he will. So, he's still the same player. I mean, Brendan Rodgers was devastated. He was looking forward to working with Jota. He was excited about working with Jota as a player. And I think that the opportunity after him going to Rennes, the opportunity to then get him back at Celtic, I mean, Brendan is sitting thinking, I could turn him into a really decent player. I could turn him into the player that he thought he was maybe going to turn into when he went to Saudi and playing with all these experienced players. But I thought it was the wrong move. I thought that going to Saudi was the wrong move for Jota. I think that if he was going to go anywhere, he should have went to a top European team. Now, he went to Rennes because they were always in Europa and they were a European pedigree of some sort. And he thought, right, I'll move to Rennes and hopefully that works out. It's not. He's decided that, you know what, I don't need the massive wages anymore. I've made 10 million. I've banked that. That's my pension pot sorted out. Right? I'm sorted for after my footballing days. I want to go back and winning stuff. I want to get back to winning stuff and playing for fans that are passionate and emotional and that love it. I love it when you have success. The chances of winning trophies. Can he be beaten? There's not many players that get the opportunity to come back to Celtic. You've got to be a pretty special player in one way or the other to get the opportunity to come back. And I think that Jota falls into that category. If somebody had said to me, we spoke about it in the summer, and I thought there was no chance that we were going to get him in the summer. No, not a chance. He made a damn sight more than that, but yeah, he probably has made more than 10 million when you look at the money that he's made at Rennes this year. KT will be lucky to play a quarter of the season. But the thing is we still need another left back. If Lewis Palmer goes, we still need another winger. Anyway, we've got 252 votes. It's going up very, very slow. 630 people on. Vote on the poll, please. Come on. Anyway. The Portuguese quota is about to double. It is. And could you imagine the future of Celtic? This is the future of Celtic. Bernardo in the midfield. Luke McCowan in the midfield. Arne Engels in the midfield. Jota on the wing. Kidsford Garden up front. Chris Garden. Tierney and Jota are totally different. KT made money and played in the EPL. Jota went to a joke league with loads of money and been poor in France. Higher standard than Scotland. KT, you've just contradicted yourself there, mate. KT made money and played in the EPL. Jota went away and played for money. And a lot of there's a lot of big money players leaving the English Premiership to go and play in the Joker League. And he's been poor in France, which is a higher standard in Scotland. I've never watched any of his games in France, so I couldn't comment, but I think you're contradicting yourself when the two of them went away to make money. And I think that's the whole point of it. That's why you leave Celtic, to go and make money. You're given that opportunity. It's like everyone leaves a job. You don't leave a job to go to a job to earn less money. That's for certain. Anyway, negative KT comments are so boring. Yep, they're that. He was on 120 grand a week in Saudi. 120 grand a week. Jota signing with 38 grand a week wages. I don't think he'll be 38 grand. He's not going to be more than Kieran Tierney. And if it is, this is Brendan Rodgers taking us back to what Brendan Rodgers did before, because a lot of the players that, when Brendan was here his last time, were in the 30 to 35 grand a week wage bracket. And you've got to say that Brendan had quite success getting players in with that price. And Adam Ida missed his chance. We got Jamie. How did Adam Ida miss his chance? The goalkeeper saves it. The goalkeeper saves it with his foot. And okay, it comes off. But you've got to be there. This is getting boring now. It's like how many chances has KYOGO put past the post when he's been one-on-one with the keeper, where he's pretty much had an open goal, and he puts it past the post. How many times has KYOGO done that this season? Anyway, Bangura incoming. Brown Warrior says, both Jota and KT have made enough money in football to retire. 10 of us at a blank. Yes, they have. So they're coming back to Celtic for the love of the football club. Can it be a bad thing for me at Baz? Yes, Brown Warrior. Exactly. Fair play to you, mate. You've got it absolutely bang on. You got it absolutely bang on. Come on, Baz. You can't say that either Celtic class is even better down the parks on a Sunday. Says Jylin. Nobody was saying that at the Scottish Cup final. Nobody. I tell you, he's changed quicker than a fart in the wind. He's all changed quicker than a fart in the wind, you lot. Nobody. Special shout out to Bruno Fernandes. Why? Nobody said after the Scottish Cup final that Adam Ida was shite. Nobody said that. Morning Baz, I'm disappointed in the time the KYOGO sale. So am I, Monty. I was gutted yesterday. I firmly believe that you only sell players, your main players in the summer. Jota comes in with Tierney and add for kits for Garden. Fair enough. I think that just realised our fans are turning into the new Man U fans. Stop being negative. The pork chop, the prawn brigade, as one Man United legend said. Yeah, I think we are. And for anybody that comes back to the club, can't blame Jota for going for 200 grand a week. Exactly. Who turns down 200 grand a week? Free the homies in the South Central. Oh, Jesus. A goal's a goal, no matter how you score it. Exactly. Brendan playing two up front, got to be a good thing. I think there could be a change. And will this be the change that we've all been waiting for? That I've been talking for seasons now. Celtic are a two up front club. There are more and more teams at the top end of European football reverting back to the two strikers. There's less and less teams going with the one striker scenario, and I think that managers copy each other, they emulate each other, and when they see when one team, I don't know who first done it, but whoever first come up with the playing the 4-3-3, whoever changed to that formation, everyone went, I'm going to try that. It changes it up a bit. It changes the dynamics. It allows you three people in the box. It doesn't really. It allows two coming in for the wings and one in the middle of the box. But there's a lot of the top teams in Europe reverting to two strikers up front. Now, is Brendan Rodgers saying, I'm going to adapt to that. I'm going to adapt the team to play two strikers up front. And if he does, we are going to be on fire. We are going to absolutely get back to scoring 4 or 5 goals every single game. Could you imagine? Kids for Garden and Adam Ida? Two completely different types of strikers. Adam Ida for kind of holding the ball up. He did it with KYOGO. When he played KYOGO and Adam Ida a couple of weeks ago, it allowed KYOGO that space. And and Adam Ida, people say, but Adam Ida didn't do anything. But what he did do is he dragged defenders in the way and he allowed KYOGO the space to score his goals. And I think that can only be a good thing. I can see us going 3 at the back, lanky. If we go to 3-5-2, oh my goodness, Jesus, it'll be like happy days. Back to the good old times. Playing 3-5-2. and back to dominating the style of play. So, yep, I hope that we'll go with 3 at the back. Jota is here in my house in Orkney. Help me put the washing out. Oh, man. This chat's always brilliant. Anyway, there's 294 votes in the poll. There's 653 people on the live. Come on, get the votes in. Get the votes in saying 295. I need 5 votes. That's all I need. We'll close it at 300 because there was Jai Lynn said and mentioned the money that we've made off of every player that Ange brought into the club. 25 million for here, 25 million here, 10 million here, 10 million here. It's a fantastic amount of money. But my reply to that was, would have Ange had the same season this year in the Champions League with his tactics compared to Brendan Rodgers? And I think that 301 votes, there we go. Whoa, 302, 303. We're going to lose a percent somewhere, but it doesn't really matter. Thank you to everyone who has voted on that poll. Absolutely brilliant. To be fair, but as he said here, the podcasters, after the cup final, Adam Ida had done his job. I thought there were better options out there, especially at 9 million. You're more. It's not Celtic's fault. It's not Celtic's fault that we paid 9 million. Look back to the circumstances that made us pay 9 million. And people forget about this. KYOGO goes down and comes off with his reoccurring shoulder injury. It was a Sunday game. The very next day, we sign Adam Ida for 9 million. Right? And we could have got him for way less. We tried to get him for way less. But as soon as Norwich knew that we have money in the bank, they knew that Celtic had 70 odd million in the bank, they knew that we needed a striker ASAP, and we get him in. It is not Celtic's fault. We were held to ransom. And I think also it's because the Kids for Garden deal was not going to happen in the summer. It was not going to happen in the summer. And I think that you have to think about the circumstances that led to each and every single thing happening. Brendan Rodgers turned around and said, look, we can't win. Brendan Rodgers' exact words was along the lines of, we can't win. We spend too little on players, we get it in the back. We spend too much on players, we get it in the back. He brings a different dynamic to the club. He brings something different from KYOGO. He's a player that I wanted, and we get him in. I'm happy. I'm happy at that. We pay too much, people moan. We pay too little, we don't get the right player, people moan. You can't win. It's a no-win situation. And the domino effect, yes, the domino effect has. I use Stratford. Jeez. Rio wanted out since Ange left. Get rid now. Yes, he has done, and he's publicly said it. I don't know. It's no big thing. He has publicly said that he wants to play at a higher level. KYOGO wanted to go at the end of. Exactly. If KYOGO wanted to stay, he would have stayed to the summer. When we win the treble this year, there will still be fans moaning about something. Great channel, Baz. Thank you, Rodney. There will be. And I think that Celtic fans are like Arsenal fans, always moaning and very neggy. Neggy? Baz, mate, I think it'll be good to get Larson as our full-time striking coach. I don't think Hendrick would come back for a part-time position and as a striking coach. But I understand what you're saying. Do we really need... I think Brendan Rodgers as the manager, if you look at Brendan Rodgers' career and how he's changed players, especially one player at Liverpool, who he changed from a mediocre, rough diamond fucking nut job into a player that ended up going to Real Madrid. Brendan Rodgers knows how to get the best out of players, and I don't think that we should be saying that we need to get in. I think that Brendan Rodgers knows the limitations of players as well, and I think that that's why Brendan Rodgers is such a good manager. He knows when to move players on at the right time. If we had kept KYOGO, for instance, if we brought in Chris Garden, I'm going to call him Chris Garden. If we brought him in Chris Garden, Right? If we brought in Mateus, and we kept KYOGO, for instance, right? Let's play this scenario out. We brought in Mateus and we kept KYOGO, but KYOGO stagnated. He just stayed the same that he was. He was missing too many chances. Mateus comes on and scores every second game. You're guaranteed a goal at him. Every set, he's scoring about every 75% of a game, and at his current club. So he comes on, Mateus comes in, and then people start saying, KYOGO's shite, KYOGO's crap. Do you not think that Brendan Rodgers sees this already? And Brendan Rodgers is thinking about how to progress this team, how to make us better. He's not about standing still. He's getting in a younger striker that he can make better. I don't think that he could make KYOGO any better a player than he already was. And I think that as a manager, when you've had a player for a year and a half, like what he's had, I think that when Brendan, he's tried to change the way that KYOGO plays, and he's tried to give him more freedom. And I think that he'll know that managers know this is what they do. They know the limitations that a player can get to, and they know that he's hit his peak. He's not going to get any better, so it's time to move him on. He's not going to come out and say that in public. He might talk to John Kennedy about it. He'll talk to Strachan. That's the conversation that they'll have in private. That's the conversation that you shut the door. And they sit in the office, and that's the conversation that they have in private. And it never leaves that room, and it never gets spoken about, and it's never written in books. And, it's a conversation that happens at a time through management and about every single player, in the history of players. And I think that it's conversations that we'll have. So, anyway, how much would you get for Adam Ida for Solom? Celtic would probably still want around about 10 million. Brendan Rodgers will leave this summer, Baz. Not a chance. Are you crazy? Not a chance. Do you not think that a player with the experience of our goalkeeper, right? Do you not think that he's going to sit down with Brendan and go, right, are you leaving this summer? And the manager will go, no. And he'll look at him and he'll go, are you signing a new deal at Celtic? Are you staying after next year? And he'll go, yeah, I plan to. Simple as that. And I don't think Brendan's going anywhere. But as you're talking shite at the moment, yeah, no, I've been going on for an hour and 2 minutes. It's gone beyond us now. Anyway, let's check out some Celtic headlines. We've never even spoke about the game this weekend. Jota flight to Glasgow sealed transfer delayed due to the storm. Arne Engels penalty, young boys. No, let's not talk about that. Kasper Schmeichel on the official Celtic podcast. Kasper Schmeichel on the official Celtic podcast. Let's do a little bit of Kasper. I better watch the time. What time have you got the hairdressers? Cool. Plenty of time. Kasper Schmeichel. Let's listen to a bit of Kasper Schmeichel on the official Celtic podcast. Come on, Celtic.
All these things can, yeah.
Right, let me just make sure that the volume's up for that. Yep, it is. So let's listen to a little bit of Kasper Schmeichel this morning.
It was a perfect day in many ways. Yeah, mad game. I thought we were excellent first half. Second half, they obviously changed, and they couldn't be as open as they were first half. But we showed great resilience. We showed a great level of maturity, scoring 3 goals and having them disallowed, missing a penalty. All these things can quite easily derail you. But we kept going, and obviously got a little bit of luck with the goal. But in terms of the actual build up to it, the pass from Rayo, all those things are things we'd been working on. So it all came together really nicely.
Yeah, and it was good. All came together really nicely. I'm going to listen to that later on. But anyway, Baz watched it earlier. Hey, everyone. How you doing? Are you going for a perm, Baz? No, the missus is going to get. Stop slagging either, everyone. He bleeds green and white, goal for goodness sake, says Joe Doherty. He does that, bass off at the hairdressers, he's going to get his roots done. There the jokes coming in. Wee Brenda would be straight down to the EPL if he had this chance, says Parkhead boy. No, he won't. Baz is going to the wig shop. Jesus. Anyway, right, I'm done and dusted then. I'm going to spit it, I'm going to get some breakfast. Not slagging either. He's our solo striker. What if he picks up an injury? I don't think that he's going to pick up an injury. Let me just see if there's any more updates. Oh, there's a notification came through. Oh, who is it? It's not that one. Notification. Oh no, it's not a Celtic notification. It's still just the one about the Rens winger Jota is due to fly into Glasgow last night ahead of his proposed move to Celtic, but it's been delayed due to the storm. Jota is now expected to travel to Glasgow over the weekend to finalise his personal terms and paperwork. That is that. Is there any other headline update? I don't think so. Anyway, let's talk about the Dundee game. No, we'll do a live later on. Talking about the Dundee game. And we'll get away for transfers. If Ida's injured, we have Johnny Kenny. Yes, Maida up front in the answer, boys, says Owe Zilla. And well, he plays as striker. Casper is the kid, son of the goat. Is that? Do you get turnips in Spain? Yes, they do. We found out last night that we can. We need to go to a British supermarket to get it. Because we're immigrants. It's like, you know, when all these Polish supermarkets opened up in Scotland. And we've got a British supermarket here in Spain. It's mad. And by KYOGO, we move on. Yeah, we do that. KYOGO Towers above them all. Cheers, Baz. Have a great day. Yep. Cheers, Lorna. That's me getting told to fuck off then. We'll call it quits. I'm sure there's another podcast you can go and listen to. Anyway. What a day, what a 24 hours. We've been on for 1 hour and 6 minutes this morning, way longer than normal. Thank you to everyone who has watched the video and joined in live. Dave Morton, Paul Meakin said no one ever. Blowing a gale here. Back home, Typhoon. Mikey Boys in the house. Big Rab C. Deborah, Monty, Mr. Quinn, Mr. Morton, Tom Courtney, Parkhead Boy, Kaiser, the big man Kaiser. Kaiser, I need to catch up with you later today at some point. That's us done and dusted. Have an absolutely fantastic day wherever you are, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party.